gets berated on the podcast we've created to commemorate action flicks, big horror, no tricks. John Travolta, Chuck Norris, insane clown posse, no fuss, no mercy, we discuss. Everything gets berated, no one is underrated. From the screen to the stage, except a new cage. No mercy, we engage.
Welcome to Everything Gets Berated, where we talk about everything other than indie horror, and sometimes indie horror that does really well at the box office. But yeah, that's today.
It's everything.
So basically everything.
You know, we talked about TV shows.
Yeah, we've talked about TV shows.
You know,
that's fair.
I started watching that fucking Ed McMahon show. You know, like I wasn't a fan of wrestling. You know, I was not a fan of wrestling, but I can't remember what they said in that show. But I was like, well, God damn it! Now that they explain it like that, like I might go back and be like, all right, like you know, it's like the thing where if you go to a strip club trying to pick up on a chick, you're gonna have a bad time. You know, But if you go to a strip club with just your friends, gonna go have a good time, then you're probably gonna go and have a good time. You know, like they were saying like wrestling's fake, and they're like, it's not fake. But as soon as you know that we're all performers, and you're gonna come and watch a show, then you'll enjoy it more. And I was like, you know what? I never thought, you know, like obviously it's fake. You know,
well, yeah, I mean, fake in the sense of a fixed outcome.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It'd be like if you watched an NFL game and the Bills are supposed to win this game and not the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But they're still out there hitting each other and causing injuries to each other.
Or, you know, a fight between somebody who would have easily murdered a younger person who just does content on the web.
that fight wasn't fake. How dare you?
But all right.
Oh yeah, I forgot
I
today.
sound like shit, huh?
No, you sound all right.
I sound rough. This is what, dude. And you know what's the funniest thing is like the time we didn't even realize what. You know what we did last night? We stayed up until, like I said, like 4 a.m. drinking heavily. But we were literally just sitting here playing Yahtzee or Uno or golf. You know, we weren't partying. That's the crazy thing about it, was that we were just sitting here playing card games and Yahtzee. And then all of a sudden we're like, what the fuck? We're like, it's 2 a.m. And we're like, okay, it's time to go to bed, son. And then he went to bed, and then we're like, all right, one more round of fucking games. And then next thing we know, sun's coming up. And we're like, oh, we probably go to bed. Yeah. Anyways, what are we doing today?
Terrifier 3.
Oh, God.
Directed by Damien Leone, and this one stars Lauren LaVera, David Howard Thornton. Hold on a second. I forgot how to spell Terrifier while I'm looking up.
Terr.
Yeah. My brain is not working great today. Oh, and Samantha Scaffidi. She played Victoria, the girl with the messed up face.
Oh, yeah.
And Antonella Rose was Gabby, and Elliot Fullam was Jonathan, the little brother. But yeah, this was. I could go with the actual synopsis, but let's see. Sienna gets out of the mental facility after 5 years, and Art murders a bunch of people and then eventually gets to her. That's kind of the plot?
Yeah, so basically this clown who, spoiler alert, he's a demon, and he bangs some chick and then terrorizes a family that could be his host or their host or something. You know?
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So I think that it opened up um, that nice ass house around
Oh
Christmas
yeah.
time, and it reminded me of um, the newer Dawn of the Dead, where the parents
Okay.
were in bed, and then the girl just jumps up in that silhouette of the hallway of her into that surfer stance. That was a creepy ass scene. Like that was a fucked up scene because then that like Dawn of the Dead, they just start and go run, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's it. Opened up and it clearly looked like Dawn of the Dead opening. You know,
Yeah.
it's the what she's trying to tell her. Was that her parents? Her sister?
Oh yeah. So the little girl, so the littlest child, right? Yeah, is trying to tell her parents that she heard something, and then they tell her to go back to sleep,
Yeah.
and then she tries to tell her sister, who tells
Oh
her to go back to
yeah.
sleep, and then the mom hears a noise, and the dad does what I
Who?
would do at 3 in the morning if I have to work in 3 hours. Please stop waking me up.
Nah. Hell no, man. Dude. One time it was pretty fucking embarrassing, but like I did something to my back and like I could barely walk, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, like as a dad for I don't know how long, like the first year, first 2 years of your being a dad, like you wake up once you hear that baby cry
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And then after, well, for me, like after I was like, okay, he lives through the night, he's good to go. Then you kind of switch over to now I'm going to wake up if I hear anything in the middle of the night, you know? And so there's a couple times my wife is like, did you hear Kane wake up last night? And I was like, no, but nobody broke in the house, you know? And so this one time I did something to my back and I thought I heard something. And so like I'm trying to roll out of bed and crawl like to the door. My wife is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I thought I heard something." And she's like, "Yeah, but what the fuck are you gonna do? Like you can't stand up. Like what?" So what do you call it? Nah, it's just that the joke of if that kid comes into your room, there's like, "Hey, there's a there's a ghost or there's something in my room." And then the parents like, well, go back over there. I don't want that thing following me. So you're just like, good luck, kid. You know, but
Yeah. So then Art starts murking folks. Like
right.
he starts with the dad, right? Just like,
Well, I mean, the dad was a nerd, anyways.
well, yeah, he was
You
just being
know,
kind of an asshole. I mean, but
yeah,
I defy you at 3 in the morning to be nice if somebody wakes you up.
right. But then at the same time, you know, they'd be different if there's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, did you see the new fucking Game of Thrones last night? I'd be like, why are you waking me up? You know, but if
We
there's
could
like
talk about
somebody
that in the
breaking
morning.
into the house, I'd be like, God damn it. You
Yeah.
know,
But yeah, no, that's fair though. That's fair that somebody was in the house, so he's
mm-hmm.
wrong. Um, but yeah, so then he gets murdered first. Like Art stabs him in the head a bunch of times.
Well, like he was in bed and he was chopping him up real good,
Oh yeah, like
getting
right
him
in front
real
of the
good.
wife.
And the wife is just still asleep. And you're just
Then
like,
she
what the fuck?
wakes up covered in his blood.
Yeah. And then she realizes what's going on. And here
Um,
goes the murdering spree.
yeah, so
Um,
then she tries to run away.
and he gets her. And then,
Oh
no,
yeah.
the first
No.
kill was the daughter.
Then he gets the older daughter.
Yeah. The first kill, I think, was the daughter and then the dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because then, you know, he did murder an entire family and very brutally, you know, but he
Yeah.
did do their dishes. I remember that,
Oh, he did with his
you
bloody
know.
hands. That was very nice
Yeah.
of him.
See, there's no
Because
DNA left.
Art doesn't wash his hands
No,
ever.
even after Jesus. And then But he did let that. I'm thinking he let that one girl live, the last girl, right? She was hiding in a cabinet, and I think that he
No,
let her live.
I'm convinced that he killed her.
Oh, well, it didn't show it at least,
Well, they don't show it, but she's
Yeah.
hiding in the cabinet, yeah. I mean, that part was really shocking. I mean, they did like a Jesus thing with the mom. Like, she arches her back and she gets stabbed and it's supposed to look all religious.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of that in these movies. The little notes of demon versus angel, battle for heaven.
But we didn't get that until later on in the show or the movie.
Yeah.
But then it has a flashback where it's like 5 years earlier, and that was the end. It goes 5 years earlier, and that's the end of number 2.
Oh yeah,
right,
mm-hmm.
Where the police were in the alley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and the guy's like, "Oh, we have this," and then and so this is the part where it was like really confusing and everything like that, because at this point, like, we're back at what do you call it? The end of number 2. Where the people are dead in the alley and there's heads chopped off and bodies and shit like that. And Art got his head cut off.
Yes.
And so now all of a sudden Art's head is alive and his body's alive. And he kills the officer, then puts it was a black officer. And he puts the black head on his body and then just like
his
walks
white
around.
Body.
Like, all right.
It felt what was that movie? There was a movie where like
Frankenstein.
It felt Frankenstein-ish, but there was a movie that did the black head on the white body thing, and I can't remember the name of it now.
I think that was Always Sunny. They did blackface.
You can't show that episode anymore,
right? So then, he goes up to the psych ward with the burn victim. Remember?
Yeah, and this is where we see Chris Jericho again.
Yeah.
Is he? I think he's an orderly.
Yeah.
Not a nurse. Yeah.
Well, what's messed up is he probably is a nurse, but since he looks all buff like that, they're probably like, "Hey, if shit goes down, man, like you're gonna subdue people, right?" And he's like, "What? I'm a nurse, bro."
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. I'm very glad you brought that up. That when I do the schedules, because like day shift does the schedule for night shift. So they basically tell me this is how many nurses you get, this is how many techs you get, how many sitters do you need, that kind of stuff. And like, so I have to go in and balance out the schedule for everything. And it's very intricate, a lot more intricate than I thought. One of the things that, like we're supposed to do, to be fair, is like, you're supposed to take, who's the last person to be called off. If you have to call somebody off, you call the person who it's been the longest. So we're not calling off the same person a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Or if you have to float somebody, you float the person the longest away. But since the unit I'm on is very aggressive, if I have a limited number of males, I keep all my males.
Yeah.
Because if we have a fight, males are easier, or it's easier for a male to break up a fight than a female.
But that's not fair.
And especially if I know a guy is buff, I keep him.
That ain't fair.
It's not fair, but do you want techs and other patients getting clocked because somebody's going through a psychosis?
But that's where, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Equal rights and lefts?
Yeah, equal rights and lefts until somebody didn't hit the gym enough.
Well, guess what? It's part of the job, right?
Yeah.
Part of the job. Like, I thought I was just going to be making people feel better. Nope, you actually have to fight them too.
No, this isn't fucking Patch Adams, bro. This isn't that kind of nursing.
No, but then what? They get on the subway, and I remember that because then like it's super weird, man. Because they get on the subway and like everybody's like idolizing fucking Art, like the killer, everything like that. No, so everybody's like idolizing him, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and there's the person on the subway that's dressed as him, and he's like, "Whoa!" And like, I'm guessing he doesn't know that that's really Art or something.
Yeah, he
And so they're
thinks it's
like, "Hey,
another
let's take pictures
cosplayer.
together," you know. But you're like, that's super weird, you know. I don't know. Like we like dress up and shit like Freddy and Jason and all these other murderers and everything like that, but that's because that's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when was the last time somebody dressed up as like, I don't know, the fucking 9/11 terrorists?
Yeah, really, it's a
Hey,
little
this is
weird,
me.
right?
You
Like
know, or fucking
like Richard Ramirez.
right,
I'm the Night Stalker. Like it's
right,
a cool costume.
like that dude on what Reno 911. There's like it's Halloween. He's like, hey, I'm a child predator. He's like, will you sign this paper? And there's like, wait, today you are or you are? And he's like, it's Halloween. That's what I am. And they're like, no, are you for real or are you just dressed up like that? And he's like, oh, you got me. I am, you know. Yeah. So then I was confused. This are Art and that woman dating now?
Well, that's his new host. Because
Uh,
every movie he has a host. In the second movie, it's the little girl. In this movie, it's the girl that gets her face messed up in the first movie.
okay, I
For him
guess.
to exist in this world, he needs to inhabit a body for his physical presence to exist.
But he has a physical body. He has Art.
The only reason he has a physical body is because he has a host.
Hmm.
Without the host, he is unable to
Oh.
exist.
I took it they were dating. I remember that lady was like fucking making out with rats and shit, you
Yeah.
know? And they go to that house and Art is cleaned up somehow. Well, we forgot there's like a ton of blood and gore and everything that goes on from the moment the movie starts
Oh, yes.
till the end of the movie.
Which
Like,
there's also at the psych ward when Art gets his head reattached to his body, he's also eating a body with just his head and spinal cord.
and ripping off like all the flesh of their faces and their skulls and
Yeah.
you know and like everything it's just
And that's
like
when
we've talked
Jericho gets
about it like
murdered.
we'll probably talk about it later on or something but so the girl they go into this house and they split up and what Art goes upstairs to the attic and the girl goes to a bathroom and she gets pissed off. She sees herself in a mirror and sees how busted she looks now and starts
Yeah.
beating the crap out of the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then she sits down into the bathtub and goes with the river
Oh,
on
yeah.
both hands,
She goes
wrists.
down the street, not across the road, with
Yeah.
a piece of glass.
Yeah. And then Art just sits there and then it says, all right, back to present day. So they fucking just sat in that exact same fucking position. Well, you think that the woman
Conceivably.
died, you know. You think the woman died and Art just sits there,
Mm-hmm.
because then it's back to present time and what Sienna was her name.
Yeah,
She gets
Sienna.
released from rehab or a psych ward or something.
Yeah, after 5 years, which I do like the touch that it's not like 1 year later. Oh, I'm good now that I just watched all these horrific murders. Like,
Right.
it's going to take some time.
Yeah. And so she gets home and whatever. And then this is the part I didn't understand. So all of a sudden there's these two workers that just show up to that abandoned house and the guy starts telling them stories about the house of, you know, whatever happened, the murders happened there and everything like that. And
I
then
th- the family, right? We're at the family's house.
yeah, but it's abandoned now,
Okay.
so that happened 5, you know what I'm saying? Like some of the timeline doesn't add up.
Which I think, if I'm reading between the lines correctly here, they're supposed to be trying to like clean out the house. They're going to try to fix up the house,
They just looked like they were like whatever.
but they were hired to clean up all the junk.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, they were not the flippers of the house.
No.
They were the the laborers. You know, they're the 1-800
They're hired by the
junk.
flippers.
Yeah, yeah. And so then they split up, as you know, people should do. And one guy goes up to the attic and sees freaking Art covered in cobwebs. You know, and you're just like, oh, he really did just sit there for 5 years. He never once moved. Like, I can't sit and watch a TV show. I gotta like move my butt cheeks.
Well,
You
yeah.
know? Like, what
But
the fuck?
we're also not demons, so.
Yeah. And then he goes to
we
the
don't-
bathroom. Yeah.
Which, okay, this is the first of many like little nods to other movies.
Yeah.
Because there is a like an ad. He's in the attic, number one. So there's this. It's like Black Christmas / Nun
Well, I
reference
was
because he
thinking
looks
it
like
was
the
also-
nun
Yeah. Also fucking Bates Motel.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick your attic, I guess, for the reference.
Yeah. Charlotte's Web. And then the guy goes to the bathtub and she is just in all this black tar, you know,
So she's
And
literally just been laying there the entire time.
right?
Yeah.
She doesn't have bed sores. He doesn't have bed sores.
Well, they're
Come on,
demons,
man.
so I think
Yeah.
rules don't apply.
Yeah. And then somehow, this is the part I didn't understand either, was they wake up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They wake up, and I remember Art just launches the dude by his face across the room,
Yeah.
right? That was pretty hilarious.
He basically does like what is it like darkness launching Tom Cruise like face palming him
Yeah, by his face,
by his face.
grabbed him and threw him, you know? And then, what do you call it? She murders the other guy, and then finally they're kind of human because they finally stretch, you know?
Yeah,
After sitting there for, you know, and then
I would need like a
think we're gonna-
chiropractor or some yoga.
probably skip over the scene of her playing radio DJ, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
with a piece of glass,
Oh, that was disgusting.
vigorously, like she was at a job, you know.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Mm-hmm.
that was gross.
Super messed up.
Oh,
And then there's a scene where the Sienna is at the dinner table and her friend is her dead friend's ghost or whatever is like, this is all your fault and you're never going to see it. And it's just yelling at her to pass the rice.
yeah.
Right.
Which this part got to me a little bit because you're seeing here is like, I want to say like a mix of post-traumatic stress disorder, schizoaffective disorder, because you're seeing auditory and visual hallucinations.
Yeah.
and
it was really messed up.
The thing is, like, if they had done more of this in the movie, this is terrifying. Because
like it was
for
messed
the
up.
person living in schizoaffective disorder, you're dealing with the voices are there, and they're going to continue to be there, and you just have to learn how to live with all this stuff happening around you.
Yeah, no. You know, and then it also doesn't help that, again, like we'll get back to her too, but the next scene is her brother now who's in college, and the brother's roommate has a girl who's obsessed with him because of the horrible tragedy that has happened,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
She has a true
And
crime
so,
podcast.
yeah. So even him, they're like, hey, wasn't your sister and you like almost brutally murdered by this ghost? Like, hey, and so everybody is idolizing them too. Like, oh, that's so cool. Like, can you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, dude, they're never going to be able to live normal lives,
No.
anything like that, because everybody is always in their face and everything like that,
Yeah.
And then she wants to whatever interview him for the podcast, and the boyfriend gets jealous and all this other shit and whatever. And then what did you catch?
My thought on that whole thing was, I hope people don't think we're that kind of podcasters, because she is like the evil version of a podcaster. Just
She was annoying, man, because then
just
later on in the
annoying.
movie, she was just a loser. Later on in the movie, she run into the sister and is like, oh my God, I love you because you were almost murdered and this and this and this. And then she talks about how she wants to like interview and talk with Art and all this other stuff. You're just like, dude, what a nerd, man.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to they go to like Art's house and he's making a pot of blue mud. And he also built fucking Gru's freeze gun from fucking Despicable Me.
Oh yeah, he's got like the cryo freeze stuff that people use to like take off warts and shit.
Yeah, it was nuts building that fucking freeze gun.
It's inventive. I like it.
I mean, it was pretty funny because he probably saw it and he's like, you know what? I bet I could do that in real life. And you're just like, I guess you can, And so then they go to, well, not they, Art goes to a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Art goes to a bar and he's got his just trash bag full of guns. Full of shit. And
so this is where these are actually two notable people that have been in like a bunch of stuff.
The guy from Waterboy who's like, I was not born a smart man or an attractive man.
Clint Howard. And I can't think of the other guy's name right now, but he's been in a bunch of movies, like a bunch of horror movies too.
Yeah. Let's see. So then
Daniel Roebuck.
Santa. Yeah, it's Santa, and they're what do you call it? They're just talking at the bar, and all of a sudden Art comes in, and they're like, God, you look really weird, and everything like that. But then they keep trying to be nice to him, So then they start taking shots, and the bartender knew someone was up because first off, the dude looks like that, right? Mm-hmm. And then just see like, I don't know. I will have to talk about it.
Basically, like, who let this homeless person in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're messing with him. He's messing with them.
But then
like, this whole scene gets cut with another scene, right? It's Lauren at home with the little girl, Gabby.
I don't remember. All I remember is that he sits on Santa's lap and pisses on him.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, really? And then Art, there's another very graphic scenes, of Art killing everybody in the bar and everything like that. And then like at this point, you're just like, dude, like out of all the Terrifiers, I liked this one the most,
I like this one the least.
I thought this one had the best storyline so far. But I mean, like, up to this point, I don't even know. I can't remember if we're like halfway through the movie or not.
We are not.
But it was just nonstop, like, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but it was just, it's a gore movie. It's not horror. It's not a scary movie. It's gore. Like, if they had, for instance, a $10 million budget, I'd say $9.8 million was put to gore. When I said like every single kill was chopping limbs off, chopping chunks of skin off, like, their face skin getting peeled, being scalped, like,
Which,
what I'm saying? Burn, eaten, everything. Like,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, the gore was crazy. Like, the effects were, on point, but you're just like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like,
It becomes a bit much at a certain point.
well, it's like, if it makes sense, then cool, but it's like, they were just like, you and I joked about it, like number one had some really fucked up scenes. And then number two was like, well, we got to beat number one. It's like they're doing bad cop from fucking the new guys. Who's like, you came in hot, and I had to, since we're doing bad cop. I had to come in hotter. And he's like, no, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
And so I just feel, like I said, this one by far I think had the best storyline of them all. Like, it makes so much sense at the end of the movie.
It has a lot more story. It also has so much story that doesn't matter. The Santa kill, it's cool. Great.
Well, he had to do that one to get his costume.
Well, yeah, but you could have done it in a quicker, more effective way. Yeah, I mean, because a lot of this stuff doesn't matter. The point is we're trying to get to Sienna.
Yeah.
Because she's the part that matters. Art versus Sienna. And if you make this movie more about them and Art versus Sienna, then every scene matters, every kill matters. But at a certain point, we're getting a lot of kills that are people that are just extra characters.
Well, it's also, like all of his movies are over 2 hours long.
Yes.
So like,
this didn't need to be 2 hours.
The kill scene at the bar, could have just hurried up and done it. But I think it's just trying to build it up, because then, I mean, honestly, the kill scene at the bar, he pulled out a gun and shot him.
I didn't like either.
Well, I mean, that one was more, probably because they're like, dude, you already spent $10 million on limbs and blood and guts and everything like that. Like, come on. So they probably had to there was those two people that had the normal deaths of just being shot real quick, and then that's the end of it. But then
I honestly would have rather
else,
been them than Santa, because he got fucked up.
Yeah. But, there's so much stuff, and you're just like, all right, man, like, again, it's a beautiful art, he made the movie, everything like that, but I think it was just, a lot of it was over the top, and, like we've always said, there's scary movies, there's horror movies, and then there's like gore movies.
This is a gore movie.
This is a gore movie, like Faces of Death. You didn't go to the Hollywood Video and get Faces of Death when you were in like 7th grade because you wanted to watch the movie. You
wanted to watch people get fucked up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's who this movie's for.
Yeah. But I really, like I said, not to bring down the movie, I think that this movie had the best storyline out of all three of them.
That is where we agree to disagree.
Yeah. Well, because so then the next scene, and this is exactly where it brings it up to it, where Sienna was like writing her journal or something, and her brother wrote her a letter, and it explains to her like, hey, this guy's a demon and you're the host. And so he's going to always follow us until you are not alive. Everyone is in danger until you are not alive. And so then it starts making sense. Like, you know what? That kind of does, but because in all the other movies, they never said anything like that.
No.
And so now number 3 is finally explaining, hey, Art isn't just a serial killer. He's a demon. And so then that starts making sense and stuff like that about how he has all these powers and is able to do all this stuff. And so the brother writes her that letter, and everywhere she's going, like her and her brother are shopping, they're at the mall, and she sees Art again, and
or she's with Gabby because the brother's off at college.
Yeah.
To go get a gift for her brother.
But then,
she sees him in like a regular Santa suit and knows it's him.
She meets up with her brother. Oh yeah, she went to his college to meet him.
Yes.
And just have regular lunch. That's when that stupid girl showed up,
Yeah.
But what's even more messed up is the brother is sitting there trying to tell her, like, it's not real. He's not there. You're just like, okay, so if it wasn't real and everything like that, why did you write her that letter? So the brother like trying to do the whole thing of, oh, it's not real. It didn't happen. You're just like, it did happen. It happened to you. Like, what the hell? And then she even brings out that letter, and it's like, yeah,
that's one of those cases. It's like, who is it? Darren Brown. He's a mentalist on Netflix. He has really great specials. Like, what is it? Like how much would it take to get somebody to commit murder? How can you make a racist not racist? Kind of things. Like, he does really cool stuff. But basically, the point that he makes is we are the story that we tell ourselves. So if you tell yourself, I am amazing, I am all of these things, you can achieve great things.
Just do your affirmations.
Like affirmations. If you tell a story about yourself that you are capable of doing things. So it's more your mind. Yeah. Like, it's basically a higher level of that. But so for Jonathan, the way I viewed it is that he is telling himself the story to move past it.
Yeah, but it's so messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're denying it, and your sister's reaching out. Both of you guys were in a traumatic experience, and you're denying it, and then calling her crazy and everything like that. You're just like, you know what? I hope that by the end of the movie, you get decapitated and your face skin gets peeled off, and then you get put on a mantle, and then your glasses get put on your skull.
Which I'm still not convinced that was him.
I think it. Nah, man. I think it was.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah. So then we cut to a scene. Like, we won't talk about what happened, but we're at the mall, and Art is Santa, which Art doesn't look like a very nice Santa. And the real Santa went on a potty break. And so then Art goes and sits down, and then all those stupid parents. This is a real part, dude. This is 100% real. All the parents don't give a shit about their kids, and they're just watching their phones and letting the kids like run up and go sit down by Art and everything like that. And you're like, this is what you parents get. Get your face out of your phone, and watch your damn kid. Like, it's the same thing with people driving. Like, do I text while I drive? Sure. But I go the speed limit, and I'm not swerving in and out of lanes and everything like that. But these parents weren't paying attention to their kids, and they're letting them run up to this creepy monster, And they're just like, oh, yeah. I love fucking Quasi cupcakes. And they're playing fucking Candy Crush and on TikTok doing some new dance moves, you know? So parents don't pay attention. And then we were making jokes about it even before we saw the movie. I made the joke about the only way to go bigger is, doing a mass murder of children. And then guess what happens?
He murders children. And this is where it went too far.
Well, I mean, this is where we're talking about. We're like, you got to come in harder if you're doing bad cop, bad cop.
But the thing is, I think at this point, maybe it's not about being extreme anymore. It's about exploring who Art is and why he's doing what he's doing. And the only way you do that is get more introspective, like the first one, where we're experiencing Art. And this is not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's showing how like disgusting and antisocial disorder Art is.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care who he kills, why he's killing, anything like that. He's just doing it just to do it. And this is the part where it's like, You know, it's just really messed up. And it's so messed up, actually, that the next scene is Jonathan having his angry flash dance in his dorm room.
Oh, okay, my first
He's like,
thought there
"This is my
was
happy place," and then he
they're in
went,
like a 10 by 10 room. My first thought was that your temper tantrum and you're destroying your room is really short when you live in a dorm room. It
yeah.
took like
And
15 seconds.
I would have loved if like it would have panned to the right and his roommate and his girlfriend just making out while he's, punch dancing.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
punch dances like Hot Rod when he goes to the woods, and he just starts punch dancing and everything like that. Yeah. So then now, Art went to a frat party.
Oh yeah,
right?
We see Art go into the frat party that Jonathan was supposed to be going to because he said for the first time in a while he was going to go to do something, not just go to school.
Yeah.
And so he was going to go to the frat party, and we see Art at the frat or go in the door, but we don't see what happens.
Then this is around the part where it keeps flashing from Art doing his thing and then Sienna doing her thing, because there's a scene where earlier in the movie, Sienna tells Gabby like, "Hey, don't read my journal." That's kind of a dick move.
Gabby proceeds to read her entire journal.
Exactly. And you're just like, okay, well, that's kind of a rude thing.
Yeah, that's really rude.
But now saying it out loud, I guess it kind of had to happen, Well,
yeah, because you have to let Gabby in on what's happening for her to be part of the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And so then it cuts, like I said, there's bits and pieces where it cuts to the frat house and it cuts to Gabby, cuts to the frat house, cuts to Sienna. And we're at the frat house where the roommate's girlfriend is talking up Art about how she'd love to meet him and hang out with him and, look in his eyes and stuff like that. And Art is listening to it and he's like, oh
no, they're at the dorm room when the girlfriend and the roommate are at the dorm room, and then she's getting all worked up and hot and bothered, so they head to the shower.
Yeah. And so then they're in the shower and he no mercies him, and that was a very, 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 very brutal scene. Again,
he slashes her boobs and then messes up her jaw.
Well, so he used a chainsaw as an axe.
Yes.
So the gore in the movie, like I said, it looks good, but you're just like, all right, bro, I don't know how big your budget was, but you can't blow your budget all on gore,
Yeah. But this is the point where I kind of started to get annoyed because, with the original, when he does when he does the hanging upside down scene and slashes through her, it's not going to go the entire way. And then he goes the entire way and then they show the entire thing. In this one, there's a weird hitch where they stop for a second and then keep going. They're redoing the same thing, but they try to warn the audience so they can cover their eyes.
Yeah,
I didn't like that
part. I don't think I'd give up, in a fight for my life. But at this point, one or two of the kids' legs were chopped off already.
Oh no, his leg was pretty well broken. So the second he tried to put weight on it, I was like, he's going to crumble under his own weight.
Yeah, and then his arms are all fucked up and all this other stuff, and there's really no way for you to leave. At what point do you just give up, man? You're butt naked on a dorm room shower, so you already got a bunch of STDs.
Yeah,
and then you get a chainsaw shoved up your butt. There you go.
They basically just gender swapped the kill from the original.
Yeah. Pretty much it's well, we did it here. Now we got to do it here.
Yeah.
Equal rights.
We did it to the ladies. Now we do it to the gents.
Yeah. And that's what, like we're saying, the gore was good, but I don't want to sound like I'm, I don't know, a pussy or something where I was like, ooh, it was too bloody and gory. No, it was.
It just make sense.
Super over the top.
Give a reason for it.
Yeah.
You're doing it to all the characters I don't care about.
Yeah. So then we're all like, we keep having flashbacks of Sienna being younger and her dad. Her dad was a comic book artist.
Oh yeah, and they're explaining the angel costume from the original, their second movie.
Well, she was asking the dad, like, how come you don't draw like women in comics? And he's like, one day I'll draw you in a comic. And then he draws her in the comic book. But then, like, when he hands it to her, like, all that shit happens. Like, was that a flashback, a flash forward, his life before his eyes type of thing? You know what I'm saying? And then I was
trying to figure out what was going on there.
The demon came from?
I guess. Like, the demon comes from the book?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Like, was it like Bruce Lee's dad who never confronted his demons, so he passed them on to Bruce Lee, and that's why he died?
Potentially. I think we're going to get a lot more of that, because the way they end this, we are headed out of this world.
Yeah, so somehow, like we said,
without saying too much yet,
somehow the demon got passed to the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what people get if I don't want to sound fucking sexist, but maybe don't draw women in art in comic books. Thor: Love and Thunder, that didn't happen. And then there's so then we're finally like, we're on the home stretch now, and Art and that woman are in their house, like, just beating the shit out of everybody.
Oh, in the sister's house, right? Yeah, the sister's house.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was dreaming or if it was real, and I was like, oh, it's real.
Oh yeah,
They're
and we
kicking
see
everyone's asses.
I'm assuming it's the husband on the wall, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the husband is crucified on the wall, being gutted, and then somebody, like, the mom is tied up to the chair.
Oh yeah.
And like all this stuff, and then this is where they start talking about the demons and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, so she's tied up next to her, right? Like across from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Sienna just keeps the faith, keeps the faith of you're not going to break her, you've already done so much, everything like that. And so the reason why I say keep the faith and not going to break her is because they're doing everything they can. So as soon as she breaks, then Art can take her body as the host. That's
yes,
right.
So this is like, I just thought of this. This just popped in my head. This is like the Sith and the Jedi, and the Sith are trying to get her to turn to the dark side. They're trying to get her to let the hate flow through her.
Yeah, and that's what's going on, because so that was, who was that, the uncle and the aunt?
Well, that was the sister and her husband that she was staying with.
That's her older sister?
That's her older sister. We saw her in the second movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he basically is taking everything from her,
Mm-hmm.
And so she sits there and she sees her, brother-in-law killed against the wall, and then the sisters being tortured. And I thought it was pretty funny too that when she was tied up to the chair, every time they'd walk by her, they'd slap her in the back of her head, like "Hiya," And then they bring out a severed head and they put it down, and there's like, oh, this was, Gabby, the little girl. And then that mom breaks, and then they did a really fucked up way to kill the mom. They shoved that big, huge,
like, the tube pipe in her, and put the rats in it.
Put rats in it, like, yeah. So they're just trying to break Sienna. They're literally beating her with a mallet, like crushing her hands and everything like that.
So she can hardly move her hands, but then she asks for her gift.
Well, the younger sister, Gabby, whatever, comes downstairs and starts doing something where she's like, no, before you kill everybody, let me give the gift to Sienna.
Yeah.
And so Sienna, even with her busted up ass hands, is able to open up the gift, which is the magical unicorn sword from Legend. And and then the house starts turning into the fucking poltergeist, and the floor opens up and Gabby's being pulled down into it, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? So now it's
then that's the point where there's that choice that Sienna has to make. It's either kill Art or save Gabby. So then she puts the sword down in there, but she's holding the blade.
Yeah, right.
And then has Gabby hold on to the hilt, and she's trying to pull her up, but Gabby lets go.
Yeah, because that's what she should do. Grab the handle. I'll grab it. But then fucking all of a sudden she has Wolverine powers and she heals herself.
Well, I think this is when she has fully embraced her Warrior of God powers.
God, she's Xena, the warrior princess?
Basically.
No. And then everybody fucking dies and everybody's dead. And then Art just leaves and goes and waits for a bus and then rides off onto the beautiful sunset.
And then you hear the people on the bus screaming.
Yeah, so first off, I'm not a public transportation driver, but I'm pretty sure that you don't have to let everybody on the bus.
It's like, no, you look like 10 sorts of crazy. You can stay off my bus,
you
please.
Murdered 85 people very brutally, unless you Rosa Parked him and said, you know what, get to the back, Art. But then you're going to start.
Mad, and he didn't want to be in the back of the bus.
Yep, see? But that's the end. So there's potentially going to be a number 4, which whatever.
I see number 4. They're going to have to answer the Jonathan question because they try to say that the head is Gabby.
Oh, yeah.
And then they try to say the head's Jonathan because there's glasses on it, but we never see Jonathan murdered.
Oh, because Jonathan,
And so they're going to have to answer that question. And also Gabby gets sent to hell. So
that's what you get for reading a journal that wasn't yours.
That should be a tip.
Don't read a journal that's not yours, otherwise you die. You die and go to hell.
Like, it's not just
little booger. That I die, but I have to go to hell too. Yeah, you do.
It's pretty steep consequences. You got to send a message.
It's called invasion of privacy, bro.
But they're gonna. I'm assuming that number 4, she's gonna go to hell and fight Art in hell.
She's gonna be down there with fucking Tom Cruise and his autistic Peter Pan's ass.
I'll help you,
gremlins.
Yeah, I'll help you take out Art.
Platters to shine light.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you take out Art if you help me take out this 9-foot devil man.
God. No, so like I said, I really like the storyline on this one because it made sense. Okay, Art is chasing after this woman because this woman is the host, and now that it all lined up good, and that's the reason why Art is going after them so much and doing everything like that. That's the reason why I like this storyline the most. Because what was the storyline in number 1?
The storyline in number
Italian
1,
restaurant and shit all over their walls.
2 drunk girls after a party on Halloween in slutty costumes go to a pizza place, mess with a crazy clown man, and then have to fight him in a building or get away from him.
I mean, I guess that it's all right storyline.
It works for the first one because the first one is largely how Damien Leone kind of showed off his special effects abilities.
Yeah.
And what he could do. The second one, I kind of felt like it had a better story because everything is about Art and Sienna. And this one, there's lots of moments that are just about Art.
I don't know. I like that number 3 kind of wrapped it up on how he's able to, take all those shots and how he's able to, get his head chopped off and
The
how
answer
he's
is we
able to
never,
do all this,
Jason.
and how come he is so messed up,
Yeah.
because he's a demon. And then why is he messing with, why are they going after Santa? Oh, because she's the host, so that's why I like this storyline the most out of all 3 of them. But like I said, when you go back to back, bad cop,
I feel like if you're gonna keep with this approach, you have to have more meaningful revelations to keep me in the game. Because this one felt like, how everything has to be a trilogy now, and like it used to be that you would make a trilogy because you had 3 stories worth of trilogy.
Yeah,
And
no.
now you're making a trilogy, and the second one is your weird, fluffy middle that
Art's
you
going
could
to go into the
almost,
multiverse next.
yeah, like you almost don't need to watch the middle one now to have it make sense.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that I needed to learn here.
Yeah. Yep. So, should we make predictions if we watch number 4?
That's a heavy
the next
if,
thing
but
he's going to have to blow up an amusement park, or
we've watched worse, so
you know what I'm saying? He's going to have to. How are you going to get bigger than the Santa Claus scene? You're going to have to blow up like a school or an amusement park or a sporting event. You know what I'm saying?
I think like a large event would work,
Right.
but I also feel like that should be your finish.
You're going to have to set 5 random
middle.
fires in a very large populated city.
Jeez, Brian.
But you know what I'm saying? You can't go bigger. So
I do feel like the next approach needs to be more personal. The entire 3rd movie of the Sienna trilogy, if that's where they're headed, needs to be finishing their story. Like you have to go, like, because that's the other thing. I think the thing that got lost in our conversation a little bit is the thing I love the most about this movie is we're seeing the evolution of Sienna here, where Lauren LaVera, like, I don't know if this whole story has been told enough, but basically, like, she was a stunt double. I think she was a Wonder Woman stunt double at some point, and like that's why she looks so so big in the shoulders.
All right.
Like she was a stunt double, so she's got some muscle mass, and like Damien Leone hired her because he saw leading lady potential in her. And in that first movie, we get this kind of the performance. It's a little lacking in emotion and very like she's just dressed sexually more than anything in that angel costume. In this one, she really explores the emotional depths of what she's going through, and it shows. I thought it was great.
No, it was okay.
I thought her performance was head and shoulders above. And if you get more of her with him, that elevates the 4th one.
We'll see.
But that's my thoughts. I'm not the director, so don't. I'm not trying to make somebody else's movie.
Right. But no, that was it. Fucking that wraps up Terrifier.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bingo.